Rarin, I got a good question for you, buddy. So how does Hearthstone, being a digital card game, how do you deal with, I guess, like alter arts or like shinier versions of the same card to get people to spend money on the game?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay, well, in 2014.
Oh, here we go. We're getting the whole lore.
Get ready for the whole.
Okay,
This is actually a very nuanced question. You're probably expecting just a very simple answer.
I was actually, yeah. But go on. Yeah.
Okay, so I will talk about legendaries because legendaries are the easiest to talk about. So every card of the game has a normal version, and then you can craft it golden. The difference between that is basically the frame on the outside is all golden, and the card is now animated. Don't ask me how the animations have gone downhill since the beginning, but I mean, if you look at the classic animations, my God, some of them are absolutely breathtaking. Eventually, what ended up happening was they decided to do something called a diamond card.
Okay.
And the diamond card is the diamond frame. It's a slightly different border, but rather than it being 2D with an animation, it is now a 3D model. Those were sometimes given for free, but other times they were given in the shop. I'm going to ask you a question in response to this before I continue. How much do you think a diamond card is worth in the Hearthstone shop?
Okay, so like one diamond card, just one. Like $5. What was that laugh?
You are so off. It is absolutely ridiculous. It is crazy. It definitely ranges on from the card, but like, let's say average is like 50 USD. Like it is.
What for one card? That's the whale. That's for the whales.
It is absurd.
Oh my God.
It is absurd.
Okay. So it's the Gigaflex. It's the Gigaflex.
It is for the Gigaflex. I will say that
$50
some of them
for
are
one card.
Yeah, it is. Well, they gotta. Like, I don't know. We have no idea how long it takes for them to make it, etc. But it is absolutely absurd. Now, the one thing about this I will say is Hearthstone as a free-to-play game mostly does, I want to say, a pretty good job about giving you a lot of cards. This is purely cosmetic. So there's only so much you can give them grief for because realistically, it's like it doesn't affect you if you don't care about it whatsoever. So that's fine. I want the expansion March of the Lich King, which was 2022. They then added signature cards. And signature cards are a completely different border. And it is the full frame art rather than having the text on the card, and it is the art is catered to whatever expansion theme it is. This has now turned into a iterative process where now they have given you the option to have the text on the card itself, which is a very nice change. But that is the cosmetics for Hearthstone and how they do it.
I was not expecting a lecture, but I'm sure the Yu-Gi-Oh fans who don't know Hearthstone appreciate. I didn't know. I knew about the gold frame because I played Classic, right? But I didn't know about any of this other stuff. So yeah,
the problem with quick side tangent here. Problem with signature cards before this whole like text thing that they added was that as from a content creator, especially as someone who has like an older audience or played the not older, you guys are young, relax. As someone who's showing content to people who used to play Hearthstone, a lot of the new cards, because they don't have the text on them with the signature cards, it's hard to showcase them because then I get the constant question of like, what do those cards actually do? So I don't use them, but now with the change I can, which is very nice. Sorry.
Got it. No, that's fine. I like I said, I think the Yu-Gi-Oh audience would appreciate that. We're 5 minutes in and we haven't even gotten to the main crux of the video. So the news was big. Yu-Gi-Oh, for the first time, and honestly it took them fucking long enough, is receiving full art frame break cards. And so I thought it'd be interesting. I did this with CGB, so you can, Gareth, put that thumbnail up in the video so if people want to watch it. A lot of these cards are going to be the same because we only have a few of them to show to you. But I thought it'd be fun for us to rate these cards in the sense of like how good we think they are on a scale of like 1 to 5. So you ready to see some Yu-Gi-Oh full arts and give us your thoughts?
Are we basing this off the art itself? Or
oh no, the effect. Like I mean, you could rate it on the art too. Like that's fine. But we're gonna be reading the cards too.
These are brand new. I guess it makes sense. They're brand new cards today. Okay, just show me the cards. I'm not gonna even assume.
It's funny because we actually thought at first that these were going to be just like reskins of like old cards, but they actually are like brand new cards and they have the cool artwork. So because
I will say full transparency, I did see the Blue Eyes one.
Okay.
And
we'll get to that.
That one looked sick as fuck. And I was like, damn, like they're just reprinting Blue Eyes in 2026 and expecting people to play it for the signature card.
You know what?
I was like,
you saw Blue Eyes first? Let's show you Blue Eyes first since you've already seen it then. You know, thank you for that information. I think this will be more fun. So you can re-react to seeing this for the first time.
So, but hold on. I got it. Before I get into this, okay? You have to explain to me how you get these cards because in Hearthstone, like for instance, like to get a signature card, I either buy it in the shop if it's there, or I will randomly open it in a pack.
Got it.
And the chances of getting one is the same as opening a golden legendary. But the thing is that you guys have real value, real US dollars catered to like the market, right?
Sure.
So
right.
How do you get these cards?
So they're going to be released in, so it's weird because stuff in the Asian territories doesn't translate necessarily to how we get them in the non-Asian territories. So these cards are going to be released in a set called the Limit Over Collection. One is like heroes and one is villains. So one set is like all the protagonists across all the animes. One is all of like the antagonists. So like this Blue Eyes here is going to be in the antagonist set because obviously it's like Seto Kaiba. But it's just like opening a pack. Like that's the only way to get it. It's like you open the set, you may get one, you may not. Obviously, you can buy it on the secondary market, but obviously we don't want to talk about that. But yeah, so that's where these are at. So here is your new Blue Eyes that you saw. Go ahead and what do you think? What do you think? Looks pretty cool.
I mean, it looks great. Unfortunately, I don't speak Japanese, so I don't know what it does.
Funny you should say that. I got the translation right here for you.
Okay, so these cards are not out yet.
No,
you have.
They are not out yet.
Okay,
correct.
Okay. Because I was like, this guy's just showing. Can I just say that the art is actually sick as hell?
Okay, yeah. I mean, I would think a lot of people would agree with you. Yeah, it's really sick.
It looks so good. Okay,
wait till you see some of the rest of these.
Off recording real fast here. Have they showcased how much these cards are worth? Like, I'm actually genuinely curious. Pokemon, if you get the alt art of like the best card, like I'm talking at least 1,000. Is there any market for these cards yet or no?
So they're not released yet, so it's kind of hard to say what they're going to actually be worth, and we don't know like at what rarity they're going to be distributed, right? Although we are getting a brand new rarity called Grandmaster Rarity, which looks like ridiculous, and not to mention some of these cards are going to be serialized as well. So we're taking a page out of Magic's book here and starting to serialize cards.
Okay, so the serialized versions are probably going to be a shit ton of money. So
right now we don't know. Okay. We only know one of the cards so far is serialized. We don't know how many of them will be, but we know for sure, and we'll get to it which one is later, but. Yeah, give our good old friend Blue Eyes here a read. Let us know what you think.
When are these released, by the way?
Great question. No idea.
They haven't even given me. Okay, so they just teased these. Okay.
I want to say it's March. We're recording this in January. I want to say it's March is when these are supposed to come out in Japan. So that means for us, maybe like April, May, I want to say.
Because, I mean, listen, I'm not a huge Yu-Gi-Oh guy, but I wouldn't mind having the Blue Eyes. And I'm hoping there's a Dark Magician here as well.
Ooh, we might be seeing it later.
It comes down to how much of, like, do I need to take a second mortgage out of the house? Like, what is it? So... All right, so we got Blue Eyes White Dragon, the White Phantom Beast. Can I just say, I love this screenshot that you gave me. It's very nice. Like this is perfect. Okay, it is an 8-star. Let me read this. When a card or effect is activated that targets this card in the field, quick effect, you can discard one card to negate that effect. You can only use each of the following effects of Blue Eyes White Dragon, the White Phantom Beast once per turn. If this card is added from the deck to your hand or your monster is destroyed by battle, you can reveal this card in your hand, special summon it. This card is added from the deck to your hand and your monsters destroyed by battle. Damn. If this card is special summoned from the hand or deck, you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls. Also, you cannot attack directly for the rest of this turn except with Blue Eyes monsters. Okay, so hold on. If I top deck this card, sorry, I just draw it from the top. I can just rip it and clear the whole board.
Yes. So this is actually very interesting because Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot of the times when there's text like that where it says when this card is added from the deck to your hand, usually it will say after that parentheses except during the draw phase. This card doesn't say that, so you can Heart of the Cards top this, immediately summon it, and nuke your opponent's board.
Isn't that a bit silly?
Is it? I don't know. You tell us.
Wait, that's kind of the dream though, right? Like Hearthstone, I think I've probably shown you the effect before, like Quick Draw in Hearthstone, which is that effect is there if you added that card to your hand this turn.
Okay, sure.
Quick Draw ended up being, I want to say, kind of like an okay card or okay mechanic, because relying on the card being added to your hand that turn is very unlikely unless you just top deck it, which is kind of whatever. But in a game like so I have to ask this as well, because in Hearthstone, obviously, if let's say I have like a Loot Hoarder on board, that card has a death rattle to draw a card. That means the quick draw card is added to my hand, which means the quick draw effect would not be there because it was added to my hand before my turn started. If this card is added to your hand on your opponent's turn, you could just rip it and clear the board. I'm assuming that's how this works as well.
Yep.
Dude, what the like that is actually so insane, man. Man, I really wish you would be able to tell me how good of an effect this truly was. But I mean, in Hearthstone, actually, we had a card that was relatively close to this. Paladin the Destroyer is what I thought his name was. He was 6 mana. if you drew this card this turn, destroy the whole board. And then if you didn't, I think you just destroyed a minion. That card didn't see a lot of play though. But I think the problem was that he was 6 mana.
Right. Where this is free.
I mean, if you can consistently have like a tutor for this though, and I'm sure there is because like you showed me
consistently have a tutor,
before.
huh? Funny you mentioned that.
I mean, okay, the Melody of the Awakened Dragon. Discard 1 card, add 2 dragon cards with 3,000 or more attack, and you get to pick those. I'm guessing. Oh my god. Yeah. So, like in that case, it's like if you need an emergency board clear, like here you go. And the fact that it negates a card is kind of sick.
Also, not once per turn, by the way.
I mean, this looks pretty good.
Okay.
I mean, I'm kind of down. What does CGB say about it?
So here's what we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and do a 1 to 5 scale because obviously these cards aren't out yet. So we don't know how good or bad they are, right? So we're going to go 1 is that it's unplayable garbage. 2 is that maybe it's like a niche card that like maybe you slot in as like a one of like in certain circumstances. 3 is like it's average, like it might see play in like some decks, but it's like it's just like okay. 4 is that it's like it's really, really good, that it's like this card is going to see play in like a lot of decks. And 5 is that it should be banned.
Okay. So when you say a lot of decks, there's a stipulation here of like this has to be in like the Blue Eyes archetype, right?
Technically, it doesn't. I mean, you could. I mean, granted, if you don't have all the like accompanying support, but like you could run this theoretically in any deck. Yeah,
you could. Yeah.
Like, okay, let me give you an example here, right? Let me show you a card that I've actually been holding off on showing you, but I think this might be the perfect opportunity. In all honesty. Oh,
in Hearthstone, this card would be so fucking stupid, dude. Like, it'd be so dumb.
You think that card's dumb? Wait till you read this card.
In 3 copies too. Like, oh my god, what the hell is this? Bestial. Is that how you say that? Bystial? Yep. Bestial. Magnamhut?
Yep. Good job.
Magnamhut, sorry. Magnamhut? Sorry. What the fuck is this thing? Oh, it's a dragon. Okay. You can target 1 light or dark monster in either graveyard, banish it. And if you do special summon this card from your hand, this is a quick effect if your opponent controls a monster. If this card is special summoned, you can activate this effect during the end phase of this turn. Add 1 dragon monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, except this. You can only use the effect of this once per turn. So you could just always draw like another Blue Eyes if you need it. I'm assuming that's what you're going to use this for.
Exactly.
So you don't even have to put it into the Blue Eyes White Dragon archetype is what you're saying.
Yeah,
like, you just run this card, draw
obviously it makes the most sense to put this in the Blue Eyes deck, but like, you know, in theory, like you don't have to, right? Like it's open-ended enough that you could just slam this in any deck if you wanted to.
Yeah, I do think they made a really good call of putting the line when this card is added from the deck and not just when this card is added to your hand, because the graveyard mechanics there could have gone pretty crazy. This is like, it feels like it's just good. Like, I don't know. I'm thinking this in Hearthstone, like this would be a legendary, so it's not, I guess it would be less consistent than your game, but we have more draw.
But we have more tutoring, so it kind of like evens out in that sense.
And you can run 3 copies of this. I'm going to assume unless they do something.
We can run 3.
So in Hearthstone, if you just randomly drew this card, like you just destroyed your opponent's like entire life, they would be really upset. I think this is great. Like I think this is a good card. So I'm going with like 4. I don't know if ban, because I think ban's like has to be egregious. Maybe the play pattern of this is so here's the thing. This is like Blizzard's like. This is Konami's like favorite card of all time. Like this is the card. Like, if you ask people what like the most popular card of Yu-Gi-Oh is, you're getting either Blue Eyes White Dragon or maybe Pot of Greed. I think those are like the 2. Maybe
Dark Magician. I think Blue Eyes wins though, for sure.
Then it's like, because we had this conversation before of like Konami wants you to play the new stuff, and this is like their baby. So like I don't know if they're gonna ban it, but yeah, it seems very, very good.
I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 3. This is gonna be funny because I did this with CGB, so everyone's gonna look back and see if I changed my ratings on any of these as we look at them again.
Okay. Do you remember all the ratings?
I don't. No. So that's what's gonna make this funny. I'm gonna give this a 3. The reason being is that this card reads insane, but you also have to remember that board wiping in our game isn't like board wiping in other games, right? Because every card in our game has like some effect that triggers in the graveyard, some effect that if it gets destroyed, like there's so much value when things just get destroyed that it's like, okay, it's a board wipe, but then it's like, okay, I'm going to bring everything back and we're basically back to square one.
I'm going to counter your argument right here. Okay, let me lock this in. Ready? I know that I'm going to play this game. You're second. Okay, your opponent's going first. This is the one time where going second might be beneficial for you. Your opponent goes, you drop Maxx C. Maxx C is now drawing you cards. Your opponent's building a board.
Yeah.
You draw Blue Eyes. GG. The game's over.
I mean, there is a world where that could happen if you're in, obviously, the OCG or on Master Duel, because it's banned for us in the TCG. Funny enough, Maxx C actually is at 1 copy now in OCG. It's almost banned. It's almost gone. So it's slowly going away. But that is, and there are other Maxx C cards that have replaced it. The Mulcharmies, for instance, which are basically Maxx C, just kind of, they basically turn it into like the Dragon Balls, where like Maxx C is too good, so they split Maxx C into like multiple cards.
Those.
Yeah. So those exist, and like theoretically, you're right. Like if you Mulcharmy your opponent and then draw this during their turn, you could just slam this down, and then it's a board wipe. And maybe because they're not fully set up yet, like that is good enough to end the turn. So there are cool things. There are also ways to add this from deck to hand, like during your opponent's turn, to make it a disruption. So I think it's good, and it'll probably see play in the Blue Eyes deck, but I don't think it's like a 3 of, like, every deck's going to be playing. Like, I think you might play 1 or 2 of it. I don't see it really as a 3 of at the end of the day. But it's a very solid card for sure. I'll happily be wrong on this one.
That makes me feel better about investing Blue Eyes for my future. Because if the card ends up being good, then the card's going to be more valuable. I would never buy secondhand Konami. Never.
You would never do that. You would never do that. All right. Well, I showed you Blue Eyes. Let's show you already mentioned it, the Dark Magician.
Also looks pretty sick. Oh my god, I like the way they did the borders here. That actually looks so, not as poppin' as the Blue Eyes, if I'm going to be honest. Maybe I'm biased, but
it's okay to be biased. I'm biased. I think the Blue Eyes looks better, but that's just me.
I think the Dark Magician looks really good. Okay, I'm kind of excited to see what this does. I thought the Blue Eyes effect would be kind of whatever, because like based on all the ones you've shown me before, it doesn't seem like they're that good. But
hey man, really Blue Eyes has won the World Championship before. So don't disrespect.
No disrespect. I'm so sorry. You're so right. All right, Dark Magician, the Pharaoh's Servant. This is level 7. This card's name becomes Dark Magician while on the field or in the graveyard. You can only use one of the following effects of Dark Magician, the Pharaoh's Servant, per turn, and only once that turn. You could reveal one spell in your hand, special summon this card from your hand, then you could set one spell/trap that mentions Dark Magician from your deck. Quick effect, you could discard one spell and destroy all spells/traps your opponent controls. Okay, that's big worse than Blue Eyes. Okay, hold on. Let me just double check. I'm making sure I understand this whole card. I think this one's maybe, yeah, I don't know. Like it doesn't have the
negate, huh? What if I help you out here a little bit?
The Gaze of Timaeus. All right, target one Dark Magician or Dark Magician girl you control. That means, hold on, pause. There has to be a Dark Magician girl here too. I'm calling it now.
Okay.
Hold on. You control or in your graveyard, fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck that mentions it as material by shuffling that monster into your deck, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn. This is treated as a special summon with the eyes. Okay. You can only activate this once per turn. Okay, wait, hold on. Fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck that mentions it as material by shuffling that monster into your deck. Okay, but how does this negate? Am I missing something here?
Remember this guy?
Oh no. I do remember it, but hold on, let me reread.
Go ahead, reread it. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh my god, look at this essay. I'm on a fucking paper trail here. Okay, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Oh yeah, that does sound familiar. Cannot beat. Okay, so it is Dark Magician. So you wait. So hold on. You could just summon this. You cannot be destroyed by card effects. Neither player can target this card with card effects. During your main phase, you can destroy one monster your opponent controls, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. You could use this effect a number of times per turn, up to the number of normal monsters used as fusion material for this card. Okay, so that means you could only do this once with the Gaze, I'm assuming.
You can use this effect a number of times per turn, up to the number of normal monsters. I think you'd only get one because you're not using a normal monster to summon this. That's extra. Read the last line.
Once per turn, when a card or effect is activated, quick effect, you can discard one card to gate that activation. If you do, destroy the card, and if you do, this card gains 1,000 attack. Okay, so the dream is like you have Dark Magician, you get it on the board or whatever, and then you use the Gaze to bring up the Dragoon, which bypasses maybe the most annoying part about it. And then now you have the negate on board, and you have the Dragoon on board. That's what we're going with here.
Yep, this is a one-card Dragoon.
Now, let me ask you a question. This card says cannot be destroyed by card effects. That counts to top decking the Blue Eyes White Dragon as well? Okay. Yep. I mean, Dark Magician may not be on par with Blue Eyes, but if we're doing this, then all of a sudden it's not too bad. But couldn't you do this before?
So there were ways to summon Dragoon before, but this is a one card way to do it. Before, you would need like other cards to sort of like, you need like 2 cards minimum, or you'd have to play 1 card but a bunch of bad cards with it in order to play it. And also it would like lock you from summoning for the rest of the turn, for instance. So there's like heavy restrictions on it, where this is just like, here you go. It's just the whole thing in 1 card.
So not only are you like the special summon of this card is very easy to do. You just reveal a spell, as long as you have a spell, I guess. If you don't have a spell, that sucks. But then you get the draw card from your deck. You could discard the spell that you just showed to destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls, which is a quick effect, which is really nice. And then you bring out Dragoon and the game's just like over. It's like you locked it up. It's probably the way this is gonna go. God damn it. All right.
You said they wanted to make you play these cards. I think they're making a convincing argument.
Like now it's like, see, maybe Dark Magician's better, because if I open with Dark Magician, then that is so much more scary than just hoping I top deck into blue. Well, not hoping, because you have tutors, but
you have tutors for Dark Magician too. But yeah,
Dragoon is just like, it just says fuck you to Blue Eyes. So I mean, like if we're having a fight between the 2 of them, I guess in theory Dark Magician is the better card if you're pulling this guy out.
You're not wrong.
But then I don't think they would ban the Dark Magician. They would ban maybe the Gaze. Maybe they would limit it.
Again, these cards aren't out yet, so it's hard to say. Also, don't forget, like, the Dark Magician, the Pharaoh's Servant, can get any card that mentions Dark Magician in its text. So that's like, you know, hundreds of cards. So like, if you need to like search for like an extra tutor, if you need to search for like this or that, like this card can search any of those. It doesn't have to just go for the Gaze. This is just like a basic example I picked just to show you how like insane this card is.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, that's a good card. I guess, let's be honest, that's a good card too. God, I don't know. I mean, if you didn't show me Dragoon, I think I would have said like maybe this is worse than Blue Eyes, because like what's the best card you can pull from this would be my next question. But then the Dragoon card is kind of just like, he's just the best. Like, how do you answer the card? I guess you'd have to have a very particular card to do that. So he might just win the game, and like the more he destroys cards, the stronger he gets, which means it's harder to remove, and then like you just have a wall for the rest of the game. I mean, probably good. I guess I'm gonna follow your logic though on like 3, because it's hard to actually imagine like more than the Dark Magician deck is gonna want to run this. And like if this ends up being the best strategy, then obviously this goes to a 5. But then it's a question of like, do they ban the new card or do they ban the card that's? So I don't know. That's a really interesting effect though. It's cool that they both essence kind of do the polar opposite, which is interesting. Which I guess is like intentional, because it's like Dark Magician versus Blue Eyes.
Exactly.
But
I would give this a 4. Actually, I think this card is fucking nuts. One thing that's interesting about it, and that you may have missed, is that there's no like restriction on this card. There's nothing saying like you can only use cards that have like Dark Magician in its text for the rest of the turn, or like you can't special summon for the rest of the turn, right? There's really no lock here. So hypothetically, any deck could just play like 3 copies of Dark Magician, the Pharaoh's Servant, a copy of Gaze, and play Dragoon in your extra deck. And you just have a built-in way to just start negating your opponent's stuff, in addition to whatever else that your deck does. Like, you don't, unlike the Blue Eyes, where I think it's better in its own deck, this card doesn't have to be played in its own deck. And I think that's like horrifying to think, because that makes it splashable. And anytime Yu-Gi-Oh has very splashable engines, they usually get played in like fucking everything. So not only do I think this card makes Dark Magician, the deck itself, it's insanely good, I think outside of it, people are going to put this in other decks just because it doesn't lock you into like playing a certain way like cards typically do in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, to sort of like force you to play like one type of strategy over the other.
It's hard for me to really see how powerful that is, right? Because I don't know the whole like card combination, but I understand what you're saying.
Well, think about it in this way. Like, I always go back to this because it's funny, but like, you know, Baron, right? Baron was generic. Imagine if Baron specifically required you to only have like wind monsters or worm monsters, right? Now all of a sudden you can only play Baron in certain decks that allow you to like have those types of cards, right? Baron was so good and is banned because every deck could play it, right? And so this is a very similar situation we're seeing here, and I'm very curious to see where this card ends up. This is the serialized one that we've seen so far, by the way. Yeah, this is gonna go for money for sure, especially the serialized version. But people love Dark Magician too. I think Blue Eyes is probably more popular, but Dark Magician is still very popular.
Got my wallet ready, I guess. God damn it.
But I mean, I still like Blue Eyes more. Even though I think Dark Magician's better, I still like the Blue Eyes more. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to another one. Speaking of fusion monsters, give this guy a read.
Have you shown me any other cards of this? I don't know who this is actually.
I don't think I've shown you this
hero.
Before.
Okay, favorite hero, Shining Flare Wingman. Is this a popular card? from like the anime or something?
This is like this is like the Dark Magician of one of the later animes. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I think that's a stretch, and a lot of anime fans are gonna be really mad that I just made that analogy. But to explain it to Rarin, I think it makes sense.
Okay, so this is 8-star, 1 fusion monster and 1 face-up monster on the field. This card is always treated as an elemental hero card. This card is special summon from the extra deck. You can shuffle 5 monsters from your graveyard into the deck, then draw 2 cards. If you do, this card gains 1,000 attack. You can only use the effect of this once per turn. If this card destroys a monster by battle, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. This card is special summon from the extra deck. You can shuffle 5 monsters from your graveyard into the deck and then draw 2 cards. That is really weird. In Hearthstone, I feel like that is not that good. I guess that really comes down to I'm immediately seeing like you can utilize it with like Blue Eyes White Dragon, right? Blue Eyes goes in your graveyard, you shuffle it back into your deck. All of a sudden, you have another board clear in the deck if you needed it.
And then if you draw it off the effect, you can wipe them immediately. Yeah, okay, that works.
That seems like it's worse for you in this case because you might want the hero on board. I think it's every monster.
Well,
right?
no, it destroys only your opponent's monsters, I think.
Oh, okay, then we're chilling. They're chilling. Okay. Man, that Blue Eyes card is something, man. Holy, like, what the hell? Okay,
but for context, we have 0 mana wipe your opponent's board, and that's at 3. So that should tell you how good a one-sided board wipe is in our game.
Are those tutorable though? I just feel, I don't know, man. That's on with a negate, and you got the minion or the monster.
That's
like,
true.
Oh my god. When I think of Keleseth, maybe the bigger problem with Keleseth was that it was destroying all minions and not just your opponents. So it's like sometimes you just didn't want to play it because you're just behind. Like if you drew it that turn, you couldn't single target a monster. Like if you played it, it was everything. So maybe that was the bigger issue with it.
I think I'd be remiss showing you this Shining Flare Wingman if I don't show you this card as well.
Super Polymerization. Discard 1 card. Fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using the monsters from either side of the field. Cards and effects cannot be activated in response. Okay, hey, that's pretty good.
Not bad, huh? Not bad.
So 1 fusion monster plus 1 face-up monster. Okay, remind me again, like, what do you mean by fusion monster? It's very generic. So, like, does that...
So, like, the purple border cards are fusion monsters.
So, you need to have... Okay, so remind me again the full mechanic here. So, the fusion monsters only come from your extra deck, correct?
Correct.
So, you'd have to get a fusion monster first and then get this card after.
Unless your opponent already has one for you.
Unless your opponent already has one. And then your opponent's molding.
It is a way to out Dragoon. I'm just saying.
Hero... Oh, you're right. It actually is like a rock, paper, scissors meta. Hold on a second. They really thought of everything. Konami's actually solved the game. Holy, man.
He's getting so excited.
You're so right. Man, that's kind of sick. I hope that's really intentional to think of it like that, where it's like, if Dark Magician becomes too good, then you have the answer for this. I mean, I'm sure
this is something people did. Yeah, this is something people did.
Wait, is Super Poly not played currently? I feel like that card's pretty nutty. I guess it really depends on...
It's contextual on what decks are good. If there is a fusion-based deck in the meta, then this card will see play typically under most circumstances. If not, then most likely not.
It's at 3? Oh, man. This card's really hard to... Okay, so what I'll say about Hero is, like, the effect is decent, for sure. And, like, if your deck needs it, like, I understand why you would play it. I think Super Poly is, like, the real reason why you're playing this. I don't know if Hero is really, like, the end-all, be-all here.
That's an answer. Like, that's acceptable to say.
Yeah, I feel like that when it comes to fusion monsters, like, especially because you show me Dragoon, like maybe Dragoon, I mean, you have to get a little bit if they have a better material for that. It's not as easy as getting a hero out. But I mean, I'm basing this purely on Hearthstone. I don't think shuffling 5 monsters from my graveyard into my deck and then drawing 2 cards is that great. I obviously know that you guys love drawing cards in your game, but Super Poly is kind of a little nutty depending on what the game is. So that card's like a 4-star if it's needed.
Okay. So Super Poly's a 4-star. What do you think about Flare Wingman though?
I'm gonna give it like a 2, like maybe a 1.
Sure.
Like I don't think it's that playable.
So I'm gonna quickly show you this card here. You may have seen this before. I forget. Give this a quick read.
Dude, that pot's face. Holy shit. Target 5 monsters in your graveyard, shuffle all 5 into the deck, and then draw 2 cards. Oh, I see the parallel here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Pot of Avarice.
This card's great.
Pot of Avarice is very old. This was actually, I think, one of the first attempts to get Pot of Greed back into the game, right? Because Pot of Greed got banned very early on. Pot of Avarice came out not too long after. And this card was also banned for a while because it turns out, even if you shuffle 5 back, you still get to draw 2. That's insane. So this card did get banned. So a lot of people, as soon as they saw Shining Flare Wingman, they got excited to see that, oh, we have Pot of Avarice on a monster. That's really cool. And as you know, playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, it's not hard to get 5 monsters into the graveyard, right? It's pretty simple. So what's interesting is that you actually figured it out. This is what we like to call a super poly target. So sometimes people will play in their extra deck fusion monsters like this that have very generic requirements. I'll quickly show you another one just so you can see. Let's show you this one.
Oh my big bird. 2 monsters with the same type and attribute, but with different names.
So there are some fusion monsters that are just generic enough that under most circumstances, depending on the metagame and what decks are good, that people will play these generic fusion monsters or semi-generic fusion monsters as super poly targets. So that way, if they are either main decking or side decking super polymerization, if you're going up against whatever that deck might be, all of a sudden now you have this sort of like silver bullet type of card that you can play. And you're not really intending to like use the fusion monster for like any other purpose aside from, you know, just like sucking up your opponent's board, right? You're trying to just 2-for-1 your opponent with super polymerization and get some value out of it. And so I think that's probably where this card is going to reside. Obviously, like the hero deck itself might just play this because it's good, but having a Pot of Avarice on a super poly target is insane. Like Garura, for instance, if you read the rest of the effect, if it goes to the graveyard, you just get to draw a card, that's great. Cool. You get some value off of the super poly in addition to sucking up your opponent's board. But that has to go to graveyard where, you know, Flare Wingman might be a little bit more proactive. You get to draw 2 cards. You get to keep the guy on the field because he's kind of big. I agree with you. I think this is probably going to be about a 2. I think it's super polymerization target more than anything, but still a cool card nonetheless.
Okay. No, I do think Super Poly is like Giga, so.
Yeah, I hate that fucking card. I don't think in a card game that has interaction that there should exist a card that says your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation.
Yeah,
I think it's fucking
that's
stupid.
pretty nutty.
Yeah.
That's pretty nutty. I don't 100% agree with you.
Right. There are several cards that have that line of text and they all piss me off. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This one looks pretty sick.
Oh my god, it's Japanese. Oh, he does look really cool. What is this? Have you shown me a card like this too? Oh my god, look at this name. Holy fuck. Imagine having this title. Cyber End Dragon, the Decisive Strike Dragon. 10 level starts. Okay, I'm assuming this is all these cards are from like the anime in some capacity.
Yeah, this is one of the like antagonists, like boss monsters. Yeah.
I mean, he looks pretty sick. I don't know if you when CGB shows me art, I like usually like analyze it for so long, like when it's the altered stuff, because it's so interesting to see how you guys do this game. I love that, dude. I love the full art though. Like it looks so good on the card. They did such a good job. Okay, sorry. It's another fusion monster. 3 machine monsters with 2,100 or more attack must be fusion summoned. If this card is fusion summoned using only light monsters, you could pay 4,000 life points, add 1 limiter removal from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of this card once per turn. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. This card, whose current attack is higher than its original attack, can make up 3 attacks during each battle phase. This card, whose current attack is higher than its original attack, like if you buff it, it can do 3 attacks. Is that what it means?
Yeah, the limiter removal card that it searches, I sent you that. Give that a quick read.
Limiter removal. Double the attack of all machine type monsters you controlled at both the activation and resolution of this card till the end of turn. During the end phase, destroy those monsters. Okay. To be like, damn, it just leaves the attack like that. Okay. So we're going to 8,000.
And you can attack 3 times.
Okay. So like in a world where this gets to attack 3 times, the game's over, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Now, how often does that world happen?
How often?
That's interesting. This card has no like protection, so you would have to have enough like negates and or hand traps or whatever to keep this thing alive. I mean, like, I think we're entering Disneyland with this one.
Okay, okay.
Especially compared to the other one. Man, imagine going through all this effort for my opponent to just draw a spell to play Blue Eyes White Dragon, or you get super polyed.
Yeah,
like,
you're not wrong. This is a super poly target. Yeah.
-1.
This
one is so Disneyland. This is Disneyland at its finest.
But what if you can do it with 1 card? And look, it's another full art. How convenient.
Wait, what do you mean you can do one with the... Wait, oh, like summon it, you mean? Okay, hold on. Okay, let me read what the hell is this? Okay, oh my god. Future Fusion Nova. Oh, this is like... Okay, so this is a part of the same, like... Okay. So this is like a pair, okay. Continuous spell. When this card is activated, fusion summon 1 fusion summon 1 light machine fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your deck, including Cyber Dragon. Oh, okay, so you just get the fusion materials. Okay, cool. including Cyber Dragon. Also, for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon except machine monsters. Also, you cannot declare attacks. Okay, hold on. Why would I? Okay, except the summon monster. Okay. When this card leaves the field, destroy that monster. When that monster is destroyed, destroy this card. I mean, like, I don't think the problem is getting this on board. I think the problem is like your opponent just not responding to it. It seems like you guys live in a reality where it's like it's very easy to respond to whatever your opponent's doing. So like the problem is like, we'll bring up Baron again. Baron was great because not only was Baron a threat, but it had the negate on it. So it's like, if you tried to respond to it, it'd be like, no, like now you need another removal. This doesn't have that effect. So you need the negates and you need to summon this on board. I think it's still bad.
Okay.
I think
so. -1. Like, that's your rating.
I would give this card like a win more. Like if this can attack, the game's probably over.
Sure.
But yeah. What circumstances are allowing you to get there is the better question. I obviously don't know enough about your game to give that answer, but from my perspective, like in Hearthstone, obviously we have summoning sickness, so like it ends up being significantly worse. I feel like this is just unusable based on the other cards you've shown me. Like there's just too much removal in this game, so I'm going with like 0.
And
whatever.
I agree with you. I think people are going to try to mess around with this for fun because it is a 1 card win the game, right? And Yu-Gi-Oh has plenty of those, but like you said, getting to do that through all of your opponent's interaction, good fucking luck. That's the biggest issue here. Not to mention you have to play, you know, all the other cards to sort of like supplement around this. Now, like you said, if you have a way to sort of put up a negate or some way to interact with your opponent so that they can't stop this, then this card wins the game. But I think there are plenty of other cards and decks that can do this just better. This might just be like one for the anime fans, if anything. And so I think this is probably a 1 for sure. Like a 2 in the sense that like, if you're playing the Cyber Dragon deck, like maybe you play this because you can. But only for that deck. I would agree with you. This is a 1, if not a 0. But again, people love like the Cyber Dragon archetype. So I imagine there's going to be a market for this, even though the card itself isn't good.
Yeah, it's all about living the fantasy, right? And
exactly.
I'm assuming that this does it. But yeah, like competitively, if that's what you're asking me, there's no way. Like,
exactly.
I don't see it.
All
this
right.
is a content card.
It is very much a content card. I guarantee there are going to be Master Duel clips of when these come into Master Duel. People are going to be messing around with this. All right. Here is your... This one's crazy. The art on this one's nuts.
This is a random question before I get to this.
Sure.
Has Master Duel ever done like alt arts like I mentioned in Hearthstone with like signatures or like golden or anything that's the equivalent?
We have like alternate rarities, kind of like how you have gold cards, but we don't have like a diamond version like you were describing. Not yet, anyway. Don't give them ideas.
I'm sure they looked at it. There's no way they haven't. I was gonna ask you like, how are you gonna acquire these cards? But is it just like opening the packs, or
it's
like
just a
you
pack?
Think they're gonna, like
yeah, just a booster pack.
Oh, damn, they're really that smart. Okay, all right. Whoa. This is a lot of stuff. Okay. Crimson Dragon. All right, let's try our best.
Come on, I believe in you. You can do it.
Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Quetzalcoatl.
What the fuck is that? Is that like a collection of dragons? Is that what it's called? Okay, 12 stars. This is a synchro monster. +1 tuner, or sorry, +1 tuner. 1 tuner +1 non-tuner monsters. Gains attack equal to the original attack of all other synchro monsters you control. You can only use the following effects of this card once per turn. If this is synchro summoned, you can special summon as many dragon synchro monsters from your graveyard as possible. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn. When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can return 1 other dragon synchro monster you control to the extra deck, and if you do, negate that activation. Okay, so mechanically, you're gonna have to remind me, when a synchro monster dies, it doesn't go back to the extra deck, it goes to the graveyard. The hope is that, oh, that's kind of really interesting, actually. How do you get, okay, so you're gonna have to walk me through on how I'm getting all these cards from my extra deck to the graveyard if I want to have synchro monsters in my graveyard, because I don't think you could just put them in your main deck, right?
They go in your extra deck, right? I mean, you know synchro summoning because, you know, you played your Sword Soul deck, so it's not hard to just like put multiple synchro monsters into the graveyard because you can synchro with those synchro monsters. So
sorry.
Not that you would do this. Yeah, not that you would do this, but you could hypothetically take your Baron and a tuner and make another synchro monster, right?
Right. Okay, sorry. So just what, like, the synchro monster is like the material you're using to summon the big boy from your extra deck, correct?
No, the synchro monster is the white bordered card coming out of the extra deck.
Okay, so that means, okay, so to get to the point where you're summoning a ton of, see, like, this is what I mean. Like, I'm walking through so many steps here to make this actually a reality, which is making me believe this is horrible because I'm like, yeah, like the end goal again is really cool. And if you get this on board and go through all these steps, maybe it's insane. But like this comes down to the question of how easy is it actually to do that? If this is easy to get a bunch of synchro monsters into your graveyard, then this card might be the greatest card of all time because you just negate everything that your opponent's doing, and then all of a sudden you have this ginormous monster on the board. Is it hold on, I gotta see if it's dynamic. Hold on. Equal to the original attack of all other single monsters you go. Okay, so like the more you sacrifice them, the less powerful this is. Okay, I mean, you may not have like an insane monster on the board, but at least you have probably negated a ton of stuff, and then it's always relevant because if you have any extras, then your monsters become a threat.
There are also cards that can send monsters directly from the extra deck to the graveyard, but the problem is then you can't summon those monsters back because they weren't properly summoned. So before you try to like, you know, mind game that doesn't work.
Okay, here's a random question. This says you can return one other dragon synchro monster you control the extra deck, and if you do, negate that activation. Okay, if I rip Blue Eyes off the top, I can negate it. I'm just double checking.
Yes, you can, as long as you have another synchro monster, a dragon synchro monster. Yes, that does work.
Sorry, I'm just thinking, like, imagine you go through all this effort and your opponent goes, yeah, I just stopped at Blue Eyes.
It could happen. It could happen. Think about it in our game too, because it's physical. Imagine you go like, oh, draw for turn, shuffle your hand. Oh, look, I drew the Blue Eyes, and it was like in your hand the whole time. Like there's some like weird like cheating stuff.
That's,
but, you know,
that would be fucking that would be so scummy. I feel like that it was allowed to happen.
I wouldn't put it past people to try it. Not that I don't have hope for the community, but yeah.
That would be, there would have to be a judge like really paying attention on that one. That would be so ridiculous. Yeah. Regardless. Okay, so this one, it comes down to all or nothing here. I feel like if you have the ability to summon a lot of dragons, this is very good. But if you're going through all this to summon 1, 2, like maybe, but it really depends on how hard it is to get this card out. And at that point, it's like, could you do something better? Obviously, the more dragons we go through, like, then yes, this gets better and better, but you can only have a cap of 4, right?
Right, 4, because you would have this on the field. Technically, you could have 5 because you could put this in the extra monster zone. So you could have 5 technically.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with this is just not good, so I'm gonna go with 1. Like, or I have to see the full vision here to really say that this is gonna be better. But I think for what you're doing, you could do this easier.
I'll give it a 2. The reason being is because there are like synchro pile spam decks that basically their whole intention is to synchro summon as much as possible and make an end board that essentially just wins you the game because your opponent can't beat it. And I could see this card being a piece of that deck strategy. Maybe they have to change some things for how the deck works. But the problem is those types of decks are very all or nothing, and usually they can fall to like a single hand trap sometimes. Sometimes they can fold to like 2, or if they're like the right hand traps, then all of a sudden your all or nothing deck just crumbles apart. And so those decks typically, historically, aren't particularly good. They're good for YouTube content for sure, or if you just want to like mess around and try to like do some crazy stuff. But I think it's only going to be like a niche card in those types of decks, if it makes sense. I don't even know if they're going to play this, to be honest. Because to be fair, if you have a bunch of these dragons out and they have their own effects possibly doing something, if all of a sudden you have this as well, and now after you use the effect of one monster, you can shuffle it back to negate another effect, it's kind of like you're doubling the effects of all of your negations, which is pretty cool. But because it's not a once per turn either, which is like one of the benefits of this card. And that's how I have a little bit of hope because it doesn't have a hard once per turn on it, but you have to jump through a lot of fucking hoops for this card to be good. So historically, that just doesn't pan out too well. So I could be wrong. This deck is getting new support as well, but we'll see if it happens. We'll see if it happens. All right, only a couple more. Let's go ahead and show you this guy.
Yeah, I have no idea what the fuck this is. It really showed how much I know about Yu-Gi-Oh at this point. Where's the God cards? They didn't really like do that. I'm
not
shocked
yet, but they're going to at some point. You know it.
Number 39. Yes, my favorite number. 39. Utopia, the Envoy of the Light. Oh my god, I added 2 more of those. Utopia, the Envoy of Light. There we go. Jesus. 2 level 4 monsters. God, what is this again? This is an XYZ.
There you go. Okay. You remember that? Do you remember how that works before we get into it?
For sure, for the people who don't know, what is it again?
Okay, yeah, for the people who don't know, remember, you take 2 level 4 monsters, you overlay them on top of each other, and then you go into your extra deck, take this, and put that on top of those 2 cards. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, no, but I do remember you showing me these cards, and I remember some of them being very good, so it's gonna click 100%. Cannot be destroyed by battle except with the number monster. Quick effect, you could detach one material from this card, then target one monster you control. The first time it would be destroyed by battle or card effect this turn, it is not destroyed. Okay, so you're giving this like extra lives, pretty much. When the second attack of this turn is declared, you can make this card gain 2,500 attack, and if you do, it gains this effect. This card destroys a monster by battle and sent to the graveyard. You can special summon it to your field. You could detach one material from this card and then target one monster you control. The first time it would be destroyed by battle or card effect this turn, it is not destroyed. But the cool thing about this card is I guess you can protect anything. It's not just this card.
Correct. There you observe it.
So because I was going to say, I think like this card is kind of whatever. But the fact that you can protect something else is very relevant, and you get 2 lives on that, which is kind of nice. So, I mean, in this case, like, I guess if you can really do it like this in the Cyber Dragon might go crazy, but I don't know how realistic that really is.
Sure. In like Disneyland. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what a lot of this might be Disneyland. Like again, it's like this is fine. It just comes down to like, is this worth working towards for that negate ×2? And maybe it is, to be honest. I feel like if I remember correctly, getting a monster from XYZing is like not that hard.
No,
like, I feel like
it's 2 level 4 monsters.
Easy.
That's easy.
As long as you can consistently do that, especially on turn 1, like we're going one monster you control the first time. So the only, okay, you can detach one material. Then target one monster you control. The first time it'd be destroyed by battle card effect this turn, it is not destroyed. Can you do both of them in the same instance? Like, can you detach one material? Like say my opponent uses
the blue eyes.
What's the card called? Yeah, like the blue eyes. Yeah, exactly. That's great. Thank God for that card. Honestly, leading by example here. Can I detach material twice in the same instance that the blue eyes effect would go off to protect this and something else, or is there only one?
It doesn't say it's once per turn. So yeah, you could do that.
Oh, that blue eyes card is. I want to put it to a 5. Like I think it's fucking insane. That card is so cool. Man, I don't know. Like I feel like this is. Because I'm going to be honest, the second effect is cool, but I don't know how relevant it really is. It might be relevant. I'm not thinking it is based on what you're telling me about Yu-Gi-Oh! To begin with. So like, it seems like monster battling is not like the prominent way you win games in Yu-Gi-Oh! So maybe that ends up being relevant, and it's cool to have that extra addition. It really comes down to how good the negates are. And I guess if you need the negates and it's relatively easy to do XYZ stuff, like then this is probably fine. So like, 3, 2. I don't think this is bad. This is definitely better than the other ones you've shown me, like the last 2, I think. So
I would agree. I think I would give this a 2, mainly because I think it's just a card that if you're playing a rank 4 focus deck, you might have this as like a flexible option that like if it comes up, it's really good, right? Because at the end of the day, it's something that goes up to 5,000 attack, which is gigantic. And also, if you kill something, then you actually get to take control of that card, which there was a card way back in the day that did that, and that got banned for like several years. So it's taking control of stuff in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is obviously very good. And so, but the problem is that situation going to come up that A, your opponent has something good enough to take, and B, you can get a second attack, because it does have to be a second attack. I will say, I think the first effect, where it protects stuff from being destroyed for the first time, that could actually be relevant for if you're playing like a rank 4 focused deck. Let's say you go summon 4, make this guy. If your opponent has some sort of way to interact with you that would be destruction focused, now all of a sudden Utopia protects either itself or another thing that you're doing, so that your opponent can't stop you with that destruction effect, because you can obviously detach 2 materials to protect 2 things. And I find that kind of interesting because there's not like a ton of cards that do that. So that first effect might actually be a lot better than we think. And you may even play the card for that rather than the second part. And if the second part comes up, it's like, cool, whatever. But I think it's just going to be relegated to, if you have like a 13th, 14th, or 15th slot in your extra deck and you don't know what to play, maybe you play this guy. Like, that's kind of where I'm slotting it. I agree with you. I think this is better than several of the cards we've looked at previously, but I don't think it's like, wow, every deck is going to play this, you know?
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. It's kind of like a tech card.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like in a certain format, like maybe this card gets used because of whatever advantages it provides, right? But I think it's an okay card. I think in old Yu-Gi-Oh! That card would be insane, but like modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just so crazy now that it's a bit different. All right, last one, and I've saved one of the best for last, which I'm excited to see your thoughts on.
Oh, it's not Dark Magician Girl.
No, they don't. I'll let you know, they don't have a full art Dark Magician Girl yet, but I imagine they are going to, and that is going to be $8 billion when it comes out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that's the easiest money glitch of all time.
Exactly.
What are they doing?
Exactly.
Okay, is it Borreload or is it Borreload? Borreload Liberator Dragon. Okay, so this is the link monsters. Okay, I do remember how these work. You don't have to explain. I do actually remember.
Do you?
Yeah. They go in like that extra slot, and then they link to the monsters.
Okay.
I understand.
All right.
All
right. Good.
All right. Holy, this guy is very big. I like the art of this card, man.
Yeah, the
Holy,
art's sick.
he looks
The art's
so sick. Yeah. 3,000 attack, and it's a link 4 monster. Okay. 3+ effect monsters. So I'm assuming what that means is any monster that has an effect.
Correct. That would make sense. Yes.
I'm just double checking. Okay. You can only special summon Borreload Liberator Dragons once per turn. Okay. Dragons? Like, is there multiple versions of him?
In the instance of like, if you tried to like summon one from your extra deck, but then you try to summon one from the graveyard as well. It'll make sense when you read the rest of the effect.
Once per turn during the battle phase quick effect, you can place one monster your opponent controls in a zone this card points to and take control of it. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. Okay.
My favorite line of text.
I mean, it's a good line of text. Once per chain, this card is in your graveyard quick effect. You can target one monster you control, destroy it, and if you do, special summon this card. Oh my god. So it just keeps on coming back.
Yeah.
As long as you have something on the board. Okay, so that's really interesting.
This is a very unique effect. I have never seen a card worded like this before. I have a lot to say on this one.
How hard is it to get re-effect monsters to link to this? I can't imagine it's that hard.
Well, so remember, how link monsters work is you have the amount of link material, you send it to the graveyard, like if you're synchroing or whatever, and then you just play this out. So the reason it says 3+ effect monsters means, because remember how you can add up the link material based off the rating? So you couldn't go a link 2 and a link 2 to make this, even though that adds up to 4, because it says it needs 3 or more effect monsters. So at minimum, you need to use 3 monsters to make this.
Those monsters are on board though, right? Like they're on your hand. Okay, that's the okay. So the question is like, if that is easy to do the first time, then this card's kind of nuts.
And I mean, you know how easy it is to just special summon things. Like it's any effect monster, right?
Yeah, the fact is like you could just steal, like it's once per turn during the battle phase. Like that means during your opponent's battle phase as well, I'm assuming.
So yep. You figured that out too.
Something. And like they can't respond. So that means that you have to plan your turn out so well to the point where like this card is not going to be a factor. But even if it's not a factor and it's in your graveyard, they could basically do the exact same thing again because it's a quick effect. As long as you have monsters on your board. Wait, but like, okay, hold on. So if this monster dies, if this monster would die while you take one of your opponent's monsters, I'm just trying to think of mechanically here. You could sacrifice their monster to bring this card back. And then that would go in their graveyard. I'm assuming that's how that interacts. So like, I don't know how often that's going to come up, but maybe that is a situation.
So
is this card fucking insane?
In your example, I want to clarify one thing. If you go, well, actually, no, they can't respond to Liberator Dragon. So, yeah, you're correct. So if you Liberator Dragon, take their thing, and then they somehow kill Liberator Dragon later, you can use their thing to revive Liberator Dragon.
And as far as I'm aware, the monster does not go back to them at the end of the battle phase because it doesn't seem it returns.
Nope, it is permanent control.
Yeah, isn't this just nuts? How do you, like,
this
it
card's
comes down
fucking
to
crazy.
It really comes down to just...
The more I read this card, the more I'm like, holy shit, this card keeps getting better and better, like, each time I read it.
Yeah, this card would be so annoying to deal with. What the... Okay, so I guess the end-all be-all for me is, like, how hard is it to get 3 effect monsters on board? I'm going to imagine it's not very difficult. That means arguably for the rest of the game, as long as you have 1 monster on the board, and even if you don't, like, depending on what phase we're in, you could just steal one of your opponents. And are there cards that say like force the game to go to battle phase? I don't know if that's...
I think there's a couple, but they're not good.
Okay.
I know you're cooking, but I'll bring it back to earth on that one.
Okay. That's Disneyland. Okay. I was gonna be like, yeah, your opponent's doing shit. You predict the battle phase. You steal whatever monster they're playing, and now they're fucking sad.
I mean, you can still do that anyway. Like, I mean, granted, like, you can't force them to go to battle phase. But, like, so that's, like, kind of one thing is, like, if your opponent just doesn't go to battle phase, you can't use the effect, right? Because you can choose not to go to the battle phase, right?
Fair. Oh, true. I get it. I mean, but if they're not going to the battle phase, depending on what deck it is, it's like you skip their turn in essence.
In a way, yeah. Like, you know you're not dying that turn. Sure. Yeah.
So, and, like, sometimes, especially in a game where, like, drawing a card is so relevant, you can say that about every card game, but, like, especially in yours, like living one extra, like it's like time warp, right? Like it's almost like just living an extra turn, and like that's just good. Like this is just a good card. if you're gonna tell me it's really easy to get this on board, I think this is just strong, and I would argue like 3 or 4 here. I don't think it's bannable because I think it's like there are situations where you just remove the entire board at once, and then it's like, okay, like this card can't come back. Even then, like I'm sure you could resurrect it or find a way to get it back on board at some point in your life, or at some point in the game. So seems really good. I'll give it like a 3 or 4.
Okay. I really want to give this a 4 because this card is fucking crazy, but I think I have to be reserved and give it a 3. I'm going to talk about the pros, but then I'm going to talk about the cons of why I'm scaling it back. So when it comes to Liberator Dragon, like I said, the more you read this and understand this card, the better it gets. So first of all, it says you can place one monster your opponent controls in a zone this points to take control of it. That does not target. So that means in the instance of like Red Eye's Dark Dragoon that has targeting protection, it doesn't work because it's not a targeting effect. You literally just, it's a semantic thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! So it bypasses targeting protection, which is fucking stupid on top of it. The fact that it's permanent control is insane because most things, there's a old card version of this called Borreload Dragon, not Borreload Liberator Dragon. He's like the original version of this. And for context, Borreload Dragon had to attack and then steal the thing. And then you lost the thing at the end of the next turn. So it was like way more hoops to jump through compared to this guy. This guy, you just go to battle phase. Oop, I'm going to take your best thing and just immediately gain control of it permanently. And your opponent can't respond to it, which is fucking stupid on top of it. So they can't even do anything about it. And then on top of it, it just keeps coming back. So like if you're in an instance where this card leaves the field, oh no, I can just pop one of my monsters and bring this guy back. And all of a sudden, like you said, like if your opponent's going into the battle phase, because this is a quick effect, you can do this during their battle phase, bring this out, and then it's a quick effect to steal your opponent's thing mid-battle phase. This card's insane. Like, it's absolutely fucking cracked. The biggest issue is, one, all of this happens, like, in the battle phase, right? So, like, if your opponent does something in the main phase to be able to, like, destroy this card or whatever, it doesn't really have any of the protection, right? So it's kind of vulnerable until it gets to the battle phase to get the big value. However, I see this as a card where people are going to play it similar to the Utopia card, but it's way better than that. People are going to play this card as, like, again, like a 13th, 14th, or 15th card in their extra deck that when the board is simplified enough and you have 3 more monsters on the field to go into this thing, you summon this thing, the game is just fucking over. Like, I'm sorry. Like, this card is so annoying to deal with that I genuinely just see this as sort of like one of those cards that just wraps the game up that your opponent's not going to be able to come back from it. And I think that's like worth a slot for decks to play, especially because it's a link monster that's generic. We talked about this with Baron. Any of these cards or any deck can play this card in theory. So I actually think this card is going to see a lot of play. Not a lot, but like it's going to see like a decent amount of play just because it's so insane. This card is absolutely fucking crazy.
All right, I agree. I agree. That looks good.
Yeah.
I think in Hearthstone, it's hard to really translate it over. Obviously, we don't have like the battle phase and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a pretty silly card. It's pretty silly.
It is very silly. It makes me excited, though. Like, an effect like this is just really cool. Like, we don't see that very often in our game. And not to mention the archetype it belongs to, the rockets. You can see, like, there's that little red guy in the bottom right corner of the art. They're supposed to be bullets, but they censor them for us. The rockets all have, like, effects that trigger when they get destroyed. So, like, you get even more value on top of that, like, for his effect to resurrect himself. So that's a way to trigger those cards, too, to just keep doing more shit. But plenty of things get effects when they get destroyed or sent to the graveyard. So just tons of synergy with this card. This card is so sick. I love the design of him. And he looks sick too, so it works out.
Well, good luck for your wallet.
I was going to say, what was your favorite? I think the Blue Eyes is still your favorite out of all
I think Blue Eyes is pretty...
What's your second? What's your second favorite?
Really gonna make me pick another this guy.
Okay, never mind. Blue Eyes again, then. In that
the
case.
gap between 2 and 1 is just it's the fucking Grand Canyon, I think, to be
fair.
honest with you.
I mean, it looks sick, and it's you know, it's Blue Eyes is their baby, so of course they have to make him good. So hopefully he's as good as you want him to be, Rare, and we'll let you know when they come out.
Dude, I will tell you, I'm gonna try to get one, like that one specifically, just to have in the back. I don't know if I'm tempted to move. We might be moving soon. Tempted to move. I might be moving soon. So the plan is to put behind me like a bunch of shelves of all the card stuff I've got over the years.
Yeah.
And he might fit the slot.
He might.
He might be there. He might be there.
So guys, that's going to wrap it up for another video. I really hope you all enjoyed. Let's go ahead and shout the patrons for all their continued support. So shouts to Shadow1317, Tim00x3, MBT Play Madolce, Moto, Cameron Smith, The Synchro Guy, Daniel Howell, Pony Stark, Little Fade Leaf, Dan the Man Hoban, Draconic, Brian Dancer of Class 7, JW11860, Flannel Daddy, literally all of the guinea pigs, MBT canceled by a community soon, canceled by a committee soon, canceled by all players soon, MBT and Nimnum's One Boxer Brief Fueled Night of Passion, The Nova129, Chris Adams, Pink Frappe, Florian Naev, and Alex Simo's deck bricked up while MBT watches from the closet. Thank you all so much again for watching, and we will see you next time.